Here we are on our 23rd day of raw vegan foods on Your Healthier Way. My name is Kurt, and today I'll be talking with Lisa about our spiritual health. Now, spirituality is a pursuit that was traditionally monopolized by religion and monasteries, but today there are more people than ever seeking their own spiritual path.
Yes, there are.
But before we begin, let's get caught up on our day. How are you doing?
I did really well today. I started out with a huge smoothie that I was nursing throughout the morning at work, and then I proceeded to dump about a third of it into my handbag.
Oh, no.
And that was awful. And this had like really bright red and blue berries and all this. So, but I got to drink most of it, and I had that salad that you mentioned that I made for you yesterday. I hadn't even tasted it.
Fantastic.
But I made it for myself today. Oh my God, it was really good. I was really surprised at how good it was. And we'll have to do a recipe on that at some point. And then I had another smoothie when I got home, and that held me throughout the day just fine. Now, you're going through a kind of rough day today, aren't you?
Well, a little bit, yeah. So if you're following us, you'll note that I've been trying to lay low on nuts and seeds, and I didn't do that yesterday. I started the day with a smoothie, and then throughout the rest of the day I snacked on raw vegan gourmet foods, all of which were either nuts or made with nuts. So I went kind of nutty yesterday.
Yes, you did. That's you.
And I woke up early this morning with a really bad case of acid reflux, and to the point where it made me nauseous.
Yeah.
I was able to get back to sleep a little bit, but then by the time I had to get up for work, I noticed I had nausea, headache, diarrhea, and I could hardly get out of bed. I mean, I was in really rough shape.
Fun stuff.
So a few things that might be behind that. It could be the overabundance of nuts. I mean, we've mentioned before how nuts are rough in your digestive system. I don't know if we've mentioned before that nuts are also acidic on the body. So, you know, that many nuts at once might have pushed me over the edge.
Yeah, we tend to get sick when we get on the more acidic side of that acid-alkaline chemistry balance.
Right, exactly. The other thing could be that I just had some bad food. Even though it was all gourmet, it was still raw. And raw foods, when you buy them, raw vegan gourmet, you got to eat them kind of quick because it's raw and it can go bad quickly. So the other thing that I want to look at is when we eat whole fruits and whole vegetables, we can usually tell with our five senses if a fruit or a vegetable is in bad shape. If it's got mold on it, we toss it out. If it's too soft, if it's overripe, if it's not ripe enough, whatever. We can usually tell those kinds of things. But when you buy packaged food, even if it's raw vegan gourmet food, it's mixed in with a bunch of other stuff. You don't really know if the person that made it recognized if there was bad food going in there or not. So there's a possibility that you know, that might have been a case too. Or maybe just the whole raw vegan lifestyle isn't everything it's cracked up to be, and I just got sick and caught the bug that everybody else at the office has been experiencing. I don't know, and I'm going to turn to my in-house expert for advice on that.
Well, I would say that the food that was maybe bad could be an explanation, especially if you're feeling better already, as opposed to feeling worse before you feel better. That's certainly a possibility. And there's nothing different about raw foods as opposed to cooked foods in terms of making people sick. If you have food poisoning, you can get food poisoning from cooked as well as raw food. It doesn't matter. So don't let that be a turn-off if that's what's going on here. The other thing was the acidosis from all the nuts that you've had over several days, not just yesterday, but you've been mentioning that you've had a lot of nuts over the last several days.
I have.
And if you're more acidic, you also create an environment in your body where bacteria and parasites and so on will come in to help clean out. So if you were around other people that were sick, it's not that you got sick just because you were around them, but because your body may have had an environment that was favorable to those parasites. But you have been treating whatever you've had. I mean, I think regardless of whatever the source is, it's good to know where this thing might be coming from. So like if it's the nuts, you can avoid so many nuts in the future. But I think the bottom, or it could be a healing crisis. Mm-hmm. It could just be your body. Your body was going to do this regardless.
Okay.
You know, diarrhea, and what else were you having? Nausea?
Nausea, headache.
Okay. All of those can be healing crisis symptoms. And it's just your body trying to get rid of stuff. So however you look at it, whatever the cause is, your body is trying to push things out. So the fact that you had acid reflux makes me think more about overdoing the nuts,
Okay.
for one thing. But the bottom line is, what do we do about it? So what did you eat and drink? What did you do for it today?
So today, actually, to treat that, I followed your advice and I did a water fast. So I didn't eat anything today. I just had water. And incidentally, now we're in the evening time, and I feel quite a bit better than I did earlier. I got some rest, stayed home from work, and just drank water all day and didn't do a whole lot. So
see, what happens when we're sick is a lot of times we'll go and we'll eat because we think that that's good for us being sick. It'll give us energy and, starve a fever, feed a cold, or vice versa, however you say that. And what happens is we're actually putting more food in our body, which creates more work for the digestive system to do. So our energy is going into the digestive process instead of to healing us. So I think it's excellent that you did a water fast and you rested. You allowed these things to come out. You flushed out your kidneys with good lemon water, and that's what we do. And a lot of times it's food combining that can make us really sick, is because it's so hard on our digestion. There's another thing I was going to say. The water fast. I'll get back to it if I forget it now. But the water fast. Oh, and a lot of times when people get sick, they will eat things that actually contribute to them feeling worse, like milk. Like I'll have warm milk, or I'll have some alcohol and knock me out to sleep, or we'll have chicken noodle soup. So you have animal protein and then you have starch in the pasta, or we'll have crackers, which is a starch, or we'll have soup that is made with either flour or dairy. So really, resting your body is the best way to do it, I think.
Okay. What's your advice to keep me healthy the rest of the week?
I would say give your body a rest tonight, and then tomorrow just start out maybe with a juice, and maybe bring a smoothie to work if you feel like it. If you're hungry, when you're hungry, have the juice. If and when you're hungry, have the smoothie, and just keep it really light, and then see how you feel, and just go day by day, moment by moment. Okay.
Very good advice. Very good advice. So I think it's worth mentioning too that whatever the illness bug or whatever you want to call it that's going around the office is causing people a lot of chest and head congestion, which I'm not experiencing. I have no congestion at all. So if it is that I'm sick, it's possible that that's not what I have. Is what everybody else at the office has. So I shouldn't say everybody, not everybody at the office got sick, but a good chunk of them. Now, on to our subject for today, which is spirituality. And whether we realize it or not, I think we are all on our own spiritual journey.
Absolutely.
Maybe there's more to it than what we experience in this life, maybe not. I think that most people probably want to believe that there is. And I would imagine that if we didn't see more to our spiritual journey than we experience in our current lives, then religions probably wouldn't exist. There are countless religions and texts about the way things were, the way things are, the way things ought to be. Lisa, do you see a difference between religion and spirituality?
Yeah, I do. In a way, let's go to what Wikipedia defines as religion, for example. Wikipedia calls religion an organized collection of beliefs, cultural systems, and worldviews that relate humanity to an order of existence. And many religions have narratives, symbols, sacred histories that explain the meaning of life, the origin of life, or the origin of the universe. And from those beliefs about the cosmos and human nature, people derive things like morality, ethics, religious laws, and preferred lifestyle. And there are over 4,000 religions that exist in this world now. The thing about religion is that, let's say you come upon someone and you say, oh, you're Jewish? Well, I'm Jewish too. Or, oh, you're Christian? Well, I'm Christian too. I think by labeling ourselves as associated with a certain group, we define certain beliefs that we have, like the ones I just mentioned from that definition. So it helps other people to know where we stand. Maybe we find some commonalities or some dissimilarities, but we kind of know where each person stands. Now, granted, within each religion and within each denomination of a religion, there's a lot of variation too. I mean, there's such a different variation within each of them. Now there's some people that will say, well, I'm spiritual but not religious. So that to me can be such a variety of different things. There are people that call themselves spiritual who have a heavy belief in metaphysics or New Age and that kind of spirituality. Whoops, there it goes. And there's people that call themselves spiritual that want to have nothing to do with New Age and metaphysics. So I think the term religion can typify a cluster of belief systems, whereas spirituality is something very personal, and it depends on the person, on who you're speaking with.
Okay, very good. So, in a nutshell, we're saying that religion normally involves group activity, whereas spirituality is an individual pursuit. What does that have to do with our health?
Well, I think it's an individual pursuit, but it can also, I mean, you also have groups, spiritual groups of people that find they have things in common.
Okay.
So that can also be grouped, but I think religion's more associated with like set beliefs and different group kind of thinking. What this has to do with our health, I believe that we are all spirit, and we all come from the same source. We come into this life with a physical body, with emotions, with a mind, for the purpose of experiencing life on earth, for learning lessons and for fulfilling our purpose, whatever that is that we're meant to do. So, I think.
And so, really, you're saying that the spirit is very much a part of who we are. If it isn't who we are, in its entirety. Yeah. So, happy spirit has a lot to do then with health, and so
we need to fulfill our spirit, because if we go through this life not feeling like our soul or our spirit or our purpose is fulfilled, we can be very unhappy. Mm-hmm. And that's why I think it's important to enjoy life, to do things that lift your spirit, that mm-hmm. raise your spirit, that you're just on that level where you're just having fun. Mm-hmm. You're just enjoying things in this world.
And if our spirit is suffering and we aren't happy, then obviously our health, the vessel that carries our spirit, mm-hmm. which is our body, is probably going to show some of that degradation.
Exactly.
In happiness.
Exactly.
So, now if our spiritual journey is individual, do we need to go it alone?
I think that ultimately we enter this world alone and we leave this world alone, even if we're physically in the company of other people. But at the same time, we're all connected. We are all a piece of that same consciousness, higher power, God, that we come from. So we are and we aren't alone. That's the interesting paradox.
Okay, very good. Now, religion can be a great place for people to turn to if they're looking for spiritual guidance or coaching.
Yes.
But we can also find direction from a variety of other teachers and guides. We personally find much of our own enlightenment through reading mm-hmm. or through listening to some of the modern greats right in our own living room.
Definitely.
And that was how we found Telepathic TV.
Yeah.
Television you watch with your third eye. Mm-hmm. How can you tell our viewers how we came across, or how you came across Telepathic TV?
Well, I read books like crazy, and I always have. Ever since I got out of school, I started reading things that I really wanted to read, that I was excited about, and a lot of them had to do with spiritual things. And when we moved to Northern Virginia, I read a book called The Language Codes by R. Neville Johnston. In fact, this is one of his paintings back here.
It sure is, yeah.
And I found it very interesting, and then in the back of the book, I realized he resides in Northern Virginia, which is where we had just moved to. So I talked to him, and I found out that he and Mary Phelan, they both do a lot of classes and teach different seminars. And so that's how we got introduced to them. And they have their website and their TV shows that come on live I think you can watch it from many places in the U.S.
On
like,
Thursdays,
you can watch it through the computer.
From their
actually.
website, they stream live.
Yeah, and then you can also
or I
watch.
believe they show up on cable TV, at least in Northern Virginia as well.
Yeah, and you can also watch their archive shows.
Mm-hmm.
So they've been great teachers for us, you know.
And you actually introduced me to Telepathy TV, and we started watching it together.
Yeah.
And consequently introduced me to Mary and Neville through meeting them through their classes. And they've been, like you said, they've been great teachers and great friends for us.
Yeah, very
So,
knowledgeable.
Do you want to share anything with us about your own spiritual journey so far?
Well, I think that when I was in my 20s, I think we all attract to us the people and the situations that we need in our life just at that moment when we need them. And I think we're all teachers to each other. We are all students for each other. Different, you know, we have our turns. We have different moments where we act in each role. When I was in my 20s, I had drawn into my life a guy named Chris, who was about 20 years old, same age as me, and he was one of the first people that got me into this level, this philosophy, or this level of being.
Wow, wonderful.
And then after that, my friend Gary, who's now in spirit, when I was in my 30s, and then our friend Dave, who we continue to keep in touch with. So I think we have different people that we draw into our lives just when we need them.
Great sources of inspiration.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And then you have to do your own research. There's no guru, there's nobody that holds all the answers, because we really hold the answers ourselves. But sometimes they're like little guideposts, they're like little, you know, arrows sometimes. And
Very
I think
good.
we attract those people to us. But we all have the answers inside. We all know that. And sometimes we just need reminders that we do, and sometimes we just need help along the way.
Very good. Very
And
insightful.
anyone that tries to, I think, get someone like into a cult or a group, or this is the way you have to think, I think that's the people to run as fast as you can from, you know. So it's
We both agree on that.
yeah, it's our own journey for sure.
So, very good.
And how about you? Well, how about you shared some of it about Mary Neville, but
Yeah, indeed. Well, I think for my part, I've been most awakened by observing nature. In addition to my beautiful family and Mary and Neville, some of my greatest teachers are those that are not human. And I think part of the reason that I feel such kinship with the various pets that we've rescued over the years is because, for me, they're a doorway to nature, to the natural world. It's been through my personal relationships with other animals that I've begun to understand the meaning of acceptance, the meaning of integrity, honesty, curiosity, honor, unconditional love, the meaning of life, really, through those types of relationships. And for me, nature holds no fear, and that's where my journey leads for now.
yeah.
So.
I think in nature and animals, I've gotten more connected with that in recent years. Just getting out and being in nature, even in your own backyard, to just watch the trees and connect with the grass and with the ground. There's so much to be said for that, you know. And today we wear shoes and we wear clothing, and we live inside houses, and we're in these, you know, concrete buildings, and there's a lot to be said for being surrounded by nature. You know, the plant life and the animal life.
Absolutely. And the, you know, the discussion of spirituality, it sounds so esoteric and maybe a little bit, I don't know, airy and over the top or up in the clouds,
Like our
however you
robes.
want to put it. And, you know, we dressed the part to be silly a little bit tonight, but the point to make really is that spirituality is a very tangible thing. It's right there with us. Every relationship we have, the very ground we walk on, the things that we eat, it's all part of our spiritual health and our spiritual happiness.
And I think, actually, just to add that eating natural foods, like raw vegan foods, like I said the other day, I've been able to remember my dreams, which I had not for a while. I think it really does something to connect us to that aspect. And it's not something you'll hear a lot of people that eat a lot of, you know, raw vegan type foods talk about. Some will. But it seems frou-frou and airy-fairy to some people. So they kind of probably keep it to themselves, or they're just not in tune with that.
Mm-hmm.
But
And either way is okay, because
And either way is
your
fine.
spiritual journey is your way.
that's right. Your health, your way.
So thank you for joining us on Your Health, Your Way. We'll come back to Earth tomorrow and talk about exercise.
Have a good night. Take care.
How you feeling about that?
That's fine.
We all have our own spiritual journey.